Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And it's time for our star ratings, hot and fresh out the oven for Survivor Series 2024 WarGames edition. Gang Rules is back, Larson.
Well, no. Wasn't, in fact. Gang Rules. Not this year.
Well, it was WarGames. In any event, we're here. It's 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
Which is, man, about as hot and fresh as anybody could expect these star ratings to be, Larson, lest we wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, you could say it's about as hot and fresh as humanly possible.
When can we expect those other guys to deliver those star ratings, Larson?
It's going to be like halfway through December at this point.
Oh, my gosh. Anyways, 5 matches on the card.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and start off with the first one. What is that?
That was the women's war game match.
Okay.
What'd you give that one, Steve?
Oh, boy. A lot to unpack here, given... See, here's the thing. I could push a little bit.
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
Caveat this.
I know what you're going to say.
And rate this for the actual WarGames match, which doesn't start until the last participant. The first 20 minutes or so are basically extended entrances with some action, right? Action now.
Yeah.
But I can't do that.
No.
I have to rate this. Okay, so I'll say this. The actual match itself, I would have given 4.5. For Io Sky alone, I would have given 4.5. For Rhea Ripley's mask and the headbutts with the mask, and she takes it off. She looks like a Blade Runner character mixed with Skyrim. Man, thought there was a lot to really like about the actual meat of this match. Probably would have gone 4.5 just for that. The stuff that happened before the match, I don't know if I could even give that 2 stars, man. That shit was bunk city. But I wait more for the heavier on the actual match stuff. So at the end of the day, sitting there for 24 minutes watching some silliness and then watching some really awesome shit, I went 3 3/4.
All right, I'm not too far off. I mean, I agree with your assessment in that everything that happened before the match actually begins, some of that was pretty rough.
Yeah.
The chair shots, not the best.
Yeah.
I'm not, like we've been fans of what Nia's been doing since she's made her return, but I don't know if her starting the match was necessarily the best route to go, as opposed to her coming in second to last or even last for her team to make maximum impact. It seems like there was a kind of a lot of things in the first part of the match before the match actually begins. It's just talking about it. These war game matches, you have to include that caveat before the match actually begins. Anyways, orders of entrance, in terms of building up to the opening bell of the actual match, maybe it could have been done a little better, a little bit differently to enhance the drama of it, give us some more interesting kind of story beats. The whatever preceded the actual match, probably like 2 stars. Everything thereafter, 4 stars, maybe plus.
Yeah.
I settled on 3.5.
Okay.
Because like you, I'm going to focus on the positive and what actually mattered in terms of the outcome of the match, which is everything after the opening bell.
If they had gone, and this goes for both the women and the men, and they did this, and this is why I ended up, and you'll find out later, rating the men's a little higher, is because we actually got some fun drama within the opening bit with specifically CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Yeah. We'll get there too in a bit, but if they had done more of that with the women, like that one year Dakota Kai turned on Tegan Nox, right? Yeah. Like, oh my God, something significant and really cool happened in the cage. Like, Rhea Ripley has Liv Morgan in that shark cage ready to go. She could have just went, and then it's like you have the added tension before the match that starts of Rhea Ripley. What is she going to do to Liv Morgan? Because she has her, and when those refs open that cage, 1-on-1 right there, instead Rhea doesn't even acknowledge her. just goes to the ring, and then Liv comes out, grabs a baseball bat when it's time for her to come out. So there were a lot of missed opportunities in that opening bit. Instead, all we got was a bunch of really weak, tepid chair shots.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple interesting story bits. Very subtle though, with Bayley helping out Bianca, helping out her and Io working together briefly to break up a pin. They had a moment. As mentioned, Bayley saves Bianca from a move. Again, a quick little thing, acknowledgement from Bianca. And that was really the extent of it until...
Well, that's a really good point, because you also had the opportunity, and this is why I had booked it out for my predictions, of Bianca and Bayley, a genuinely interesting can they coexist, or an Io and Bayley genuinely interesting can they coexist, and they didn't bother to do that. They had the two people who have no issues between each other, Bayley and Naomi, start off. So
Bayley and Nia, you mean?
Oh, I mean, on being on the same team. Wasn't Naomi the first one to come out after? Yeah. So, anyways, let's move on to the next match.
Let's do that. That would be the U.S. title match between LA Knight and your new champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. I was thinking about this, and when we were doing our star ratings for Full Gear, when talking about the Swerve versus Bobby Lashley match, the approach I took on that one was this wasn't necessarily a match that's going to be, based on how it's structured and the point of it, that's going to be highly rated, even if it's done really effectively, which that match was, and I think this match was as well. This was a match to establish, in the case of AEW, Bobby Lashley as dominant force. Here, this new iteration of Nakamura as a contender. So it was it was a pretty dominant win for Nakamura. I appreciate that LA Knight, got a burning hammer in. It's great.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah.
He got some of his stuff in, but by and large, it was Nakamura wrecking him.
Yeah.
And I kind of waffled between two scores. In the end, I settled on 3 stars. It was a perfectly fine match, but just based on how it was laid out, it wasn't going to be a 3.5, 4-star bout, I thought.
I did go 3.5. Maybe some of that is because I really like that Shinsuke got the win here.
Yeah.
I feel like there should have been at least some more build to him getting this win, though. He beat Andrade in a really terrific match on SmackDown, and he missed the crap out of LA Knight, and that was fun and everything. It feels like and I'll say this, I'll preface it with this. In a vacuum, this iteration of Shinsuke Nakamura hasn't, within the context of the storyline, earned this title win, because I feel like there should have been more build to him. It was like we go from Andre, and it makes me wonder if maybe AJ Styles was supposed to win this or something, because he was starting to get in the mix with LA Knight in the U.S. title scene there. So I don't know, maybe things changed, who knows. But in any event, they, the packaging of Shinsuke Nakamura is phenomenal, of this new iteration. I gave it 3.5. I thought there were some really cool bits here. I thought the Scorpion Death Drop on the corrugated steel was really cool. Could it have been, I think it probably could have been, they gave this 10 minutes. Feel like maybe there could have been a bit more drama in it. But I thought it was cool, and, it was a shocking moment for sure. The crowd didn't know how to process. I mean, it wasn't a good crowd anyways, but they were like, what the hell was that? Which is kind of a cool moment as well. So yeah, I gave it 3.5. Might be a little high, but I think about Shinsuke winning this and I'm like, hey, guess what? He's not a jobber anymore. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a little bit more of a
boost
there.
All right, let's talk about the Intercontinental title triple threat match, Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. Braun retained. Steve, what'd you give this one?
Thought this was the mid-card show stealer. I thought there was nothing to dislike about this match. I gave it 4 stars. Everything you want out of these 3 guys, just the physicality of Sheamus, the explosiveness of Braun Breaker, the stankiness of Ludwig Kaiser, all of it in one package, and I thought they all worked beautifully together. Loved this match a lot. Gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, I gave it 4 stars too. I thought it was the best wrestling match of the night.
For sure, yeah.
A lot to like. Had some good character bits interspersed with some really good action. And I'm happy Ludwig Kaiser just wasn't in the match to take the pin.
Yeah, agreed on that one.
Him costing Sheamus the title again. It's going to propel their storyline, even though it seemingly took a break for a while. Hopefully Kaiser gets the win over Sheamus. And, Gunther told him you got to stand on your own 2 feet. And hopefully they start doing that with Ludwig Kaiser. But, great performance by everybody in this match. It was a lot of fun.
That would be an interesting story beat if Gunther goes to Ludwig trying to talk some shit about not getting the title. And Ludwig says, you talk about stand on your own 2 feet. You had Finn Balor out there helping you, buddy.
Yeah.
Oos.
Speaking of which, let's move on to that match. World Heavyweight Championship bout. Gunther defeating Damian Priest. And they went back to the Finn Balor well, something I was concerned about heading into this, given that Finn was so obsessed with the concept of Priest even contending for the World Heavyweight Championship again. The build for this match was not good.
Nope.
Can't say I'm terribly invested in this Crisis of Confidence storyline with Gunther. And the way that the opportunity presented itself, we had a conversation about this last night on our recap. The way the opportunity presented itself for Gunther to take advantage of Priest's injury, it wasn't like a situation where it felt like he was bailed out. That's what it felt like for Gunther.
Yeah, sure.
And he got his mojo back because of fate more than his own acumen in the ring.
Sure.
So it didn't necessarily, he was trying to almost kind of seem like, hey, I got it back. Ring general's back. But it's like, between that, having Finn help him get the win, it kind of feels like it's not earned. So
it didn't advance anything.
It didn't advance anything. So I would expect Priest to say to Gunther, hey, you beat me, but you needed help. I busted up my shoulder like the first or second move I did. If it wasn't for that, who knows what would have happened. And we don't know how Finn's going to play into the World Heavyweight Championship scene. This is a long-winded way of saying I kind of waffled between 2 scores. And I think I'm going to settle on 3 1/4. Because this match was fine, but it never really elevated my estimation above fine. So I guess give it 3 1/4. It was an all right match.
I gave it 3, which is shocking because I didn't think Gunther had a floor lower than 3 3/4, to be honest with you. I honestly, dude, I love Gunther. I think he's great. I love Damian Priest. I think they're both really good wrestlers. This match was, in my estimation, just kind of dull. And I tried to, divorce the actual match from the build, which I thought wasn't great. And, man, somebody in the Wrestle Juice Hot Takes yesterday said, hey, I like that they're adding some dimension to Gunther, and I'm interested to see where it goes. And I think that's a good philosophy. I'm curious to see if this is something. I think one of our problems with it is that it seems so out of nowhere. Like, you see already what happens when he lost at WrestleMania, the title that he had treasured so much. And what happens? He comes back more focused, dominant, comes back, and he wins the world title. One loss to Cody Rhodes, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm no longer the ring general." And I think the suddenness of that was the thing that really caused us pause. I'm all for a Gunther, introspective storyline, but I'd like to see it a bit more organically play out. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. I gave this 3 stars because honestly, the match itself in a bubble. Maybe without Finn, I would have gone as high as 3.5. But I didn't even think the match itself was all that compelling, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I only went 3 stars. I almost went lower, but I went 3.
Yeah. All right, let's talk the main event. Men's WarGames match. OG Bloodline plus CM Punk taking on a bad Bloodline. Steve, what'd you give this one?
I gave it 4 1/4. Which is a half-star difference from the women's WarGames match. Because I think that there were 2 things that they did. One, by virtue of the story building to it. There was a story building to it. And with the women, it was, thanks to creative, dropped ball after dropped ball with their story heading into WarGames. This one was actually told, granted, even you and I were like, this was speed run, but compared to it still had story beats.
Yeah.
You had Jimmy J and Sammy out there trying to recruit their 5th man. Roman eventually being like, that was a cool rallying cry from Roman. We don't need a 5th man. The 4 of us is good enough for, to do this. And then Heyman brings in CM Punk and the place goes crazy. And then that carried into the match with Roman stopping Punk from getting out there and instead letting Sammy go doing the whole power play big dog shit. And then Punk doing his own petty big dog shit, blasting past Roman. That stuff was so much fun. Granted, I think they could have done a lot more of it in that opening 24 minutes or whatever it is. Is it 3 minutes per participant? Is that what it is?
Yes. First 5 minutes is the first two competitors. And thereafter, it's 3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so whatever that math equals up to. Boy, that's a long time.
It is.
So I gave it 4.25 because, and on top of that, I thought that although the women had more fun shit going on in their match, I thought the men had plenty of fun shit, and there was so much story involved. Unfortunately, it seemed like there were some apparently Bronson Reed busted both of his ankles.
Yeah, hurt both
in
of
this
his ankles.
match.
Jimmy
and then
Uso
Jimmy
busted
broke a
his
toe.
Yeah, but
And
apparently
then
Jacob Fatu's fine.
Which is awesome because you can't mess with the knee. Knee'll put you out for ages.
Well, I mean, if you got a couple broken ankles, he's gonna be out for a while. Bronson Reed.
Yeah, if they're actually broken, he's gonna
that's gonna be
he's gonna
be
out.
a while. That's gonna be a while.
But yeah, no, I gave it 4.25 because I thought that they did the War Games thing. I'm not gonna say as good as they could, but there was compelling stuff on both ends of the whistle being blown or the bell being rung. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I in terms of the story going in and going through the match, I thought this War Games match was the stronger of the two, strictly from a storyline perspective, obviously. Again, and yeah, there were some good story beats in the first 20 minutes that precede the actual match. It's gonna give me a headache saying that repeatedly. You know, and I guess it's subjective whether it's enough to justify those first 20 minutes or if those are story beats you could have worked into the match itself.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Again, waffling between, sometimes we do these star ratings. I watch a match like bang, instantly I know what it is. But in these matches where there's good, but there's also some stuff that I'm like, maybe not the most effective way to do things. Anyways, I'm kind of waffling between 3 3/4 and 4. I guess I'll go with 4 stars. You convinced me to go a little bit higher.
The shots of Roman and Punk alone justify.
At the end of the day, wrestling's
situation.
a storytelling medium. Even if some of the in-ring stuff, wasn't the crispest.
Yeah, right.
If there's interesting story and character stuff going on, again, wrestling's a storytelling medium, so emphasis should be on the story. And if the story is good, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, right.
Even if some of the wrestling might not be, the most compelling or the crispest stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe Punk should have laid in those toolbox shots just a little bit more.
And man, has there ever been a match you've watched and you've been like, they just need to get rid of weapons? If it's not a kendo stick, because kendo sticks are kind of easy to do, but like between the women in the chairs, CM Punk and that stupid toolbox, it was like, stop doing this stuff. I don't know, maybe we need to go back to standard definitions where we can't see everything super crisp.
Well, I mean, you can see, even in standard def, I think you'd see them really pulling up on, and look, I'm not advocating for them to blast people in the head with a chair or a toolbox, by no means.
Of course, yeah.
We want anybody to get CTE during the course of one of these matches.
No, absolutely not.
But, the whole point is to make the chair shots look convincing enough that you as the viewer think, or the toolbox shots, think that someone could get hurt when they're not.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so if you pull your shot too much, it's just, anyways, that's not the convincing. Anyway, they want 4 stars. 4 stars it is. All
right, well, there you go, and there we go. Hey, we want to know what you guys gave your star ratings for the War Games match of 2024. All the matches on the War Games card, I should say. So yeah, let us know in the comments below. While you're at it, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. And then this coming Friday, we're going to react to, and I'm back in the hot seat. Ooh, this is going to be a tough one. I'm aiming to get 3 of 5 this time, Larson. As we react to Dave Meltzer's star ratings this coming Friday. So be sure to keep an eye on that. Already on this channel, we have me reacting really poorly, guessing the ESPN 30 wrestlers under 30.
Yeah, that was fun.
Which was a fun video, so check that out. Also, we got merch over at friendoshop.com. Use Friendo 2024 is the code to get 20% off. You can get this hat. You can get this shirt right here. We got a Wrestle Juice shirt over there, too. So, yeah, check all that stuff out. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.